Each one a deal closed, a company acquired, a victory won. He was a titan of industry, a man who could bend markets to his will. He had built an empire on this cold, hard logic, and the world had rewarded him for it. But a single, unexpected email had disrupted his perfectly curated world. It was a fundraising pitch from a small, struggling startup. They were developing educational software for underprivileged children. The numbers were abysmal, a financial black hole. Any sane investor would have deleted it in a heartbeat. But something in the founder's earnest plea, a photo of smiling kids using a beat-up laptop, struck a chord. It reminded him of a dusty classroom, of a teacher who once told him he had potential. He had dismissed it as sentimental nonsense. Logic dictated he ignore the email, but for the first time in years, a different voice whispered in his mind. Later that day, rushing to a crucial meeting that could make or break his latest acquisition, the city's chaos swirled around him. Taxis honked, people hurried past, each absorbed in their own world. That's when he saw her. An old woman, her face a roadmap of worry, her clothes worn and thin. She was counting a handful of coins, her brow furrowed in concentration. Beside her, a young boy, no older than 10, watched a toy robot in a store window, his eyes wide with a longing so pure it was almost painful. He checked his Patek Philippe watch. He was already 5 minutes late. His partners would be waiting. Impatience gnawed at him. He looked at his own reflection in the store window, a man in a perfectly tailored suit, a symbol of success. But what had that success cost him? He thought of his own childhood. He wasn't born into this world of glass towers and limitless credit. He remembered saving up for weeks to buy a single comic book, the joy of finally holding it in his hands. He remembered his own grandmother, her hands worn from a lifetime of work, always managing to slip him a little treat. When had he become so disconnected? When did he start seeing people as numbers on a spreadsheet? The acquisition deal, the market shares, the profit margins, it all seemed to evaporate, replaced by a simple, human connection. His partners could wait. This, right here, felt more important. It felt real. He walked over to the woman. She looked up, startled, as this imposing figure in an expensive suit approached. He smiled, a gesture that felt foreign on his face. He reached into his wallet, not for a credit card, but for a crisp $100 bill. He pressed it gently into her hand. "For the robot," he said softly, nodding toward the boy. The woman's eyes welled up with tears. She was speechless, clutching the money as if it were a miracle. The boy, hearing his words, turned from the window, his expression a mixture of disbelief and pure, unadulterated joy. He looked from Ethan to his grandmother and back again, a wide grin spreading across his face. For Ethan, that smile was worth more than any stock market rally. It was a return on investment he had never known. He walked away without waiting for a thank you. The image of the boy's ecstatic face burned into his memory. He missed the meeting. He lost the deal? The news hit the financial wires the next day? Ethan Thorne fumbles major acquisition, his rivals celebrated. His board was furious. Whispers started had the Titan lost his touch. He was called reckless, sentimental, a fool. For the first time in his career, his empire seemed to shudder. He lost millions overnight. His reputation, once unassailable, was now in question. His partners, the ones who had once hung on his every word, now looked at him with doubt. The cost was immense. By every metric he had ever lived by, he had made a colossal mistake. Yet, as he sat alone in his office, watching his company's stock plummet, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't experienced in decades. Weeks turned into a month. The fallout was brutal. Investors pulled out, projects stalled. The empire he had meticulously built began to crumble. He was forced to downsize, to sell off assets he had fought tooth and nail to acquire. The penthouse office felt less like a throne and more like a cage. The city lights no longer looked like trophies but like distant, indifferent stars. He spent his days fielding angry calls and his nights staring at the ceiling, questioning everything. Had he thrown it all away for a moment of sentimentality? Was he truly the fool everyone claimed he was? The world he knew, the one built on power and profit, had turned its back on him. He was on the verge of losing it all. Then one morning an email appeared in his inbox. It was from an anonymous sender. The subject line was simple: an investment. He almost deleted it, assuming it was another creditor or a reporter looking for a scoop on his downfall, but something made him open it. The email was short. An investor, who wished to remain unnamed, wanted to inject a massive amount of capital into his company. Enough to save it, to rebuild it. There were no complex terms, no demands for control, no strings attached. It was an act of pure faith. Ethan scrolled to the bottom of the message, searching for an explanation. The final line hit him like a lightning bolt. I don't invest in balance sheets anymore. I invest in people who choose right even when it costs them. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the city skyline blurring through the tears that filled his eyes. He thought of the $100 bill. He thought of the old woman's grateful tears and the boy's radiant smile. He thought of the multi-million-dollar deal he had willingly sacrificed. It all clicked into place. The anonymous investor, the test, the choice. It was never about the money. It was about his character. The world had presented him with a choice: a deal that would feed his wealth or an act that would feed his soul. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button